everyone, thanks for joining me on the Public's Eye Outdoors. I want to do a quick video on turkey calls. It's turkey season, and guys are going to start getting out there, and hopefully I can give you a couple tips and let you know some of the things that I do. Now, I'm not a professional by any means, so you can take this with a grain of salt, but I have had a lot of luck, obviously, over the years with these calls. And I'm going to just quickly go through some of them with you and how I approach them. Starting out, the box call and the slate call were my go-tos, and that's because back when I started hunting, that's really all that was on the market. You even had to draw a turkey tag. That's how old I am. So, but the box call is a very reliable call. I would say if you're box calling and striking slate, you're probably going to be shotgunning, okay? And that's the reason that I've kind of gotten away from it, is because I don't do a lot of shotgun hunting anymore. I do bow hunting. So here's the box call. I'm not really good with the box call by any means, but they have a great sound to them. They're good and loud. They can get out there and get some attention. But like I said, over the years, bow hunting, I've had to change up because those just weren't feasible for me to, especially if I was spotting and stalking, to draw my bow and try to call and keep those turkeys occupied. So the next thing I started doing was learning how to use the mouth call, okay, the diaphragm mouth call. And these are my go-to pretty much all the time. But I love the mouth calls. Unfortunately, last year I had surgery on my tongue and had part of it taken out. Okay, so I get a lot more air and I can't put as much pressure on these mouth calls as I used to. And it's kind of inhibited me on what I can do with it. But there's a lot of those out there. Try different ones, cut them different ways, and just, if you can get this down, this is a deadly call. I've killed a lot of turkeys just with mouth calls. Okay, moving on. Now, the flex tones. I think most of the guys now that turkey hunt are familiar with the flex tone lines, and that is my next go-to. I love this flex tone lines. You've got besides the owl call, you've got these 5. There's 5 calls all in the line here. I believe I got them all. But you've got a gobbling call. You've got a big, I use this for locating and windy days, trying to get out there a long ways. And you can even do like a Jake gobble with this. Okay, very good call for windy. It's got a really raspy, hard sound to it. This one here is a little bit smaller, but yet it still has that sound. And the reason that I like these flex tone lines is because you can basically get 2 calls out of this one call. You notice there, I was blowing out, get one sound, sucking in, I'm getting a different sound. And you'll see in videos I use this quite a bit, and I really love to use these calls. There's also a couple smaller ones, and these I use maybe when they're in, or if I'm just getting to my spot and the sun's coming up and I don't want to like blow things out of there right away. I'll hit these smaller ones. To where you just are really quiet. You don't want to blow anything out of there, or if I have a tom that's kind of hung up, I'll just real softly talk to him. So those are the flex tone lines. Once again, you got the Gobbler. Now, some guys have asked me on my channel, you know, do you gobble? Do you use a gobbler? And some guys actually are very good with a box call doing that. And I saw, you know who you are, H&H. Thank you for that tip on your video. But they put a rubber band or a hair tie around this, and they shake it. Okay, and it sounds awesome. It really does. But like I said, I don't use the boxes anymore. And so I've got my flex tone gobbler here. And that really sounds more like a Jake to me. Then you go to the Primos. Now this thing I've had for a lot of years, and there's a couple ways that you can use this. And first way is to shake it, and you can get a Jake sound out of that. The way I prefer to use it is I'll just pump it, and that sounds really good. Okay, it looks a little perverted, but that is the two tom calls that I use. Now, when you're shotgun hunting, I would suggest, especially on private or public land, be very cautious of using those calls on public land, because you're going to probably draw some guys into your area, and you really got to be careful. But on private land, you're fine. Okay. Now, the reason that I love to use gobblers, the gobble calls, is because they are so effective. I will start out with getting their attention, trying to get an answer, okay, and then I'll hit them. Once I got their attention and they gobble at me a couple times, okay, and I'll throw a J call at him, and I'll answer him. And if he calls me again, I'll answer him again with that Jake, and then I'll get these hens fired up. Okay, I want all kinds of ruckus going on. You know, hit them calls. A lot of times I'll use a mouth call with one of you. Try to sound like a bunch of hens over there with this Jake. And more often than not, you will get that tom there within 2 or 3 minutes. I mean, he's going to be fired up and he's coming in. Okay? That's one of the strategies I like to use. The other strategy that I use is going after that hen. And a lot of times you can get that hen fired up. Okay? Too many guys, I think, focus on the toms, when the one you should be focusing on are those hens that he's already got. And the hens are very bitchy. Okay, they can be very temperamental, and that's one of the things that I love to do. If I can hear a hen, you know, she's out there and she's going off, then I'll cadence right back to her. And I'll cut her off. And she cannot stand that. If that's that boss hen, she's going to come over there and she's going to find out what the heck is going on, because you're disturbing her setup, her little group there. So more than likely, if you get one that's, you know, answer her. Go right back at her. You know, hit her. And you'll draw them hens in. Now, a lot of guys will say, you don't want all those eyes all around you. Well, that's true in some cases, but if I'm in a blind, I'm not worried about it. If I've done my homework, and I'm in that blind and I'm blacked in to the background of that blind, I'm not worried about that hen. Okay, so I will try my best to get her to come over there. Just beat her down and get her upset, and she will come over. I had a shotgun hunt last year where I did that. Brought her in, just kept hitting her, and I was in a tree line with a shotgun, literally on my knee, and they came through right in front of me about 5 yards, and the hens came through, and she was so fired up, she just kept going. She was looking. She was trying to find that other hen and get on her. Well, those toms, I had 3 or 4 big toms that were following her, and right when they got through that opening, it was one-handed, boom, took him out. But if it wasn't for those hens, I probably wouldn't have got that tom, because they had them locked down. They had those hens locked down over there. But that boss hen, she was like, I ain't having none of this. This is my field. This is my group, my boys. I'm going to go find out what the hell's going on over here. So that's basically in a nutshell what I like to do and my strategies for getting those toms to come in. It's not a foolproof system, and I don't think there is one out there, to be honest with you. There's a lot of better callers out there, but I think sometimes you can get hooked up into being too technical with your calling, and I found just communicating more with them turkeys and just concentrating on 2 or 3 aspects of the sequence. Don't try to throw perks and putts and all that crap in there, because more often than not you're gonna say something wrong. And I stay away from those, because those calls are fighting calls, or they're distressed, and you just don't want to get into those calls unless you've got one down already and you're trying to simulate a fight going on and maybe draw in those other 2 toms or whatever it may be. But the other thing you can do is just use your mouth. There's been a couple times where I've ran off from home and actually forgot my call. So I had a situation where I was talking to a big group just with my mouth. Okay? Just pick a word. My word is the F-bomb. I don't know if you could hear that, but that's what I use. It's got that drop off. So, but that's what I use, and those are the strategies that I use, and hopefully I'll be able to bring you a couple of hunts here, getting some toms on the ground and stuff, and getting some good footage of the interaction of these turkeys with me. So we're going to have some nice days coming up here, and hopefully I can get out there and get some on camera footage. Thanks for watching again, and hopefully some of these tips will help you out.